Marta Kostyuk just turned a match that looked completely under Mirra Andreeva's control into one of the biggest momentum swings of Cincinnati. For 38 minutes, Andreeva looked like the player with the answers. Then, almost without warning, the entire match changed. Kostyuk lost the first set 6-4, but from that moment she won 12 of the next 14 games, crushed the fifth seed's rhythm, and marched into the quarterfinals with a 4-6, 6-0, 6-2 victory. The score tells us Kostyuk won. The way she won tells us something much more interesting. Andreeva entered this match looking extremely comfortable. She had opened her Cincinnati campaign with a ruthless 6-1, 6-0 victory, then followed it with another convincing win over Janice Chen. Kostyuk had taken a tougher route. She survived Sofia Kenin in 3 sets before beating Sloane Stephens in straight sets. So on paper, Andreeva seemed to have the cleaner momentum. The first set only strengthened that impression. Andreeva broke immediately, settled into her service games, and kept Kostyuk from getting comfortable on return. Her first serve was especially effective. She won 88% of points behind it, compared with 67% for Kostyuk, and she made only 7 unforced errors. Kostyuk made twice as many. Andreeva did not need to do anything spectacular. She simply protected the early advantage, held her nerve, and closed the set 6-4 after 38 minutes. At that stage, it looked like another controlled performance from one of the most exciting young players on tour. But tennis can change incredibly fast, and Kostyuk was about to make that lesson painfully clear. The second set began with a simple hold, followed by the breakthrough Kostyuk desperately needed. She broke Andreeva for a 2-0 lead, and instead of giving the Russian time to reset, she immediately increased the pressure. Kostyuk held, broke again, and suddenly the scoreboard read 4-0. That was the turning point. Andreeva's first set confidence disappeared. Her serve became vulnerable, her errors started arriving in clusters, and Kostyuk was stepping forward to take control of rallies before Andreeva could establish her preferred patterns. The Ukrainian was not waiting for mistakes anymore. She was creating problems. The statistics from that set are almost shocking. Kostyuk hit 10 winners and only 3 unforced errors. Andreeva produced 1 winner and 8 unforced errors. Kostyuk also won all 3 of Andreeva's service games and converted all 3 break opportunities. Andreeva eventually found herself serving at 0-5 just to avoid a bagel. She could not escape it. Kostyuk broke again and completed a 6-0 second set in only 24 minutes. Now the question was psychological as much as tactical. Could Andreeva stop the collapse before it carried into the deciding set? For a moment she did. Andreeva held for 1-1 after Kostyuk opened with a hold, ending the Ukrainians' 7-game winning streak. It was a small but important response. Kostyuk, however, refused to let the match become complicated again. She held for 2-1, then broke for 3-1. From there, her control became increasingly obvious. She was winning the important exchanges, protecting her own service games, and forcing Andreeva to play from uncomfortable positions. Andreeva managed to hold for 4-2, but that only delayed the inevitable. Kostyuk answered immediately, moved to 5-2, and put Andreeva back under maximum pressure. Serving to stay in the tournament, Andreeva needed something special. Instead, Kostyuk finished exactly as she had played the previous set. Aggressively, decisively, and without giving her opponent a second chance. Another break closed the match 6-2. Look beyond the final score and the scale of the turnaround becomes even clearer. Kostyuk finished with 24 winners to Andreeva's 9, while both players ended with 25 unforced errors. She also produced 7 aces compared with Andreeva's 1 and converted 5 of 6 break points. That last number matters. Kostyuk was not merely taking advantage of a struggling opponent. She was consistently punishing the moments when Andreeva's serve became vulnerable. Overall, Kostyuk won 56% of the points, 77 out of 137, and captured 7 of 9 pressure points. The second serve battle was another major difference. Kostyuk won 61% of her second serve points across the match, while Andreeva managed only 48%. That meant even when Kostyuk did not land her first serve, she was still protecting herself. Andreeva increasingly had no such safety net. And that is perhaps the most important lesson from this match. For a young player, winning when everything is going your way is one challenge. Responding when the match suddenly moves away from you is another. Andreeva had the perfect start, but once Kostyuk found her range, there was no sustained counterattack. This also adds to a frustrating hard court pattern for Andreeva. She has shown repeatedly that she can reach the latter stages of tournaments, but outside her Adelaide title in January, she has struggled to turn those runs into deep breakthroughs. Cincinnati now gives her another round of 16 exit, following earlier hard court defeats in Brisbane, Doha, Miami, Dubai, Indian Wells, and the Australian Open. The timing makes this result even more significant. The US Open is approaching, and hard courts are where Andreeva will have another major opportunity to prove that she can turn potential into consistent results. For Kostyuk, the story is completely different. She arrived in Cincinnati at a career-high world number 11, and every round now feels like another argument that the top 10 is within reach. She has already survived Kenin, defeated Stevens, and now produced a comeback against a fifth seed who looked almost untouchable for one set. What stands out most is not that Kostyuk won after losing the opener. It is how quickly she changed the match. She recognized that Andreeva's rhythm had to be disrupted, stepped into the court, attacked the serve, and refused to let the Russian rebuild confidence. That is the kind of response that can turn a good tournament into a breakthrough tournament. And there is another reason to watch Kostyuk closely. Her improvement is not based on one explosive shot or one lucky draw. It is about resilience. She has now shown she can absorb a bad start, read the match again, and make meaningful adjustments. Against elite opposition, that ability can become the difference between making the quarterfinals and lifting a trophy eventually. Now Kostyuk waits for the winner of Coco Gauff and Marie Bouzkova in the Cincinnati quarterfinals. And suddenly, the question is no longer whether she can compete with the best. It is whether she can keep this level long enough to make a serious run toward the title. As for Andreeva, this defeat will sting because of how it happened. She did not lose a tight 3-set battle. She controlled the opening set, then watched the match disappear. That makes the next step obvious. Learning how to stop momentum before it becomes a landslide. So what do you think? Was this Kostyuk's best comeback of the season? Or did Andreeva simply lose control when the pressure changed? And with the US Open getting closer, can Kostyuk make a genuine run in New York? Let us know your prediction, because this Cincinnati turnaround may have just given us another player to watch very closely.